What happens when power stops serving truth and starts serving itself? In Chapter 6 of Children of the Matrix, The Unholy Alliance, David Icke explores the idea that systems of power often don't operate alone. Political power, financial power, institutional power, cultural power. Sometimes they reinforce each other from alliances, visible and invisible. Whether you read that historically, symbolically, or psychologically, there's a deeper question here. What happens when fear and power become partners? Let's go there. What is an unholy alliance? I hear this phrase less as conspiracy, as more as a pattern. Anytime power joins with fear, this is an unholy alliance. Anytime institutions preserve themselves at the expense of truth, that is an unholy alliance. Anytime control disguises itself as protection, that deserves examination. This chapter asks us to notice those patterns, and pattern recognition is consciousness. Power often moves through alliances. History shows power rarely operates in isolation. Institutions support one another. Narratives reinforce systems. Structures protect structures. That is not radical. That is history. And this chapter asks, what alliances shape reality in ways people rarely question? That's a profound question. The shadow alliance within, and I always like to take it inward, because there is an outer influence and an inner alliance. Fear can ally with ego. Wounding can ally with control. Trauma can ally with false protection. And suddenly people become ruled by internal alliances that keep them small. That's powerful, because awakening is often dissolving those inner alliances. When fear borrows moral language, one thing this chapter made me think about is power often wraps itself in noble language: safety, order, protection, righteousness. And discernment asks, what is truly serving life, and what simply preserves power? That question matters, not cynically, consciously. Division as an alliance fuel. Another theme I see, alliances of power often feed on division because divided people are easier to direct. Reactive people are easier to influence. And sovereignty often begins when we refuse to be emotionally recruited into division. That is spiritual maturity, and that may be one of the deepest teachings hidden here. False alliances we make personally. This chapter also made me ask, where have I formed unholy alliances in my own life? With fear, with old stories, with approval, with survival identities. That's honest inner work, because sometimes awakening means breaking the alliance between your wounds and your identity, and that's liberation. What real alliance looks like, and maybe this chapter also points us towards sacred alliance: truth with compassion, power with wisdom, strength with love, sovereignty with community. That is holy alliance. And maybe awakening is learning the difference. My biggest takeaway, my takeaway from the unholy alliance is this: the deepest alliances shaping life may not always be obvious. Some are institutional, some are psychological, some are spiritual. And consciousness means seeing what is joined, so you can choose what you serve. That is sovereignty. Maybe the question isn't only what alliances shape the world, but what alliances shape you. Fear with ego. I'm going to have to say, I get caught up in it, and that's, when I go into fear, my ego comes out. So, you may see it a lot. Sometimes I will comment some garbage, but I know what I should be doing, and that's what this is about. But I just want to bring it up. I know that I'm not innocent of this, and I don't want to, be a big hypocrite here. Okay, so what alliances shape you? Fear with ego to start again. How about truth with awareness? This is the one we should all be working on. This may be the real question. If this resonates, subscribe. I walk in chapter by chapter through Children of the Matrix, through sovereignty and consciousness. And tell me, what false alliances have you had to break in your own life?